What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another post game here on Mets Central. And the Mets win 6-1 over the San Diego Padres in game 153 of the regular season. We are down to now single digit amount of games left, which still is absolutely insane to me, considering the fact that it felt like just yesterday I was on my way to Citi Field for the home opener. But here we are. And what matters is let's go win these series and get yourself locked into a playoff spot. And this was an important one to win. This was very important considering the fact that you can't afford to be losing any games right now. There is no room for error, and the mentality needs to just simply be on to the next one and let's go beat the Nationals. Let's go sweep the Nationals because to me, and we'll talk about that on the podcast tomorrow, but to me, you cannot do anything. Like you have to sweep the series tomorrow. It is just that simple. There are no if, ands, or buts about it. You have to sweep the series starting tomorrow. Win starting tomorrow and then sweep that series. But nonetheless, let's talk about this game, which was definitely a very easy win for the most part. Which it's weird that there was two of them this series. Meanwhile, yesterday's game had to be the way that it was, which makes it very infuriating. There were things that could have been better. There were opportunities left on the table, which does worry me still with this offense. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all of a sudden I feel differently because of the fact that they had some big hits here and there, like Brandon Nimmo did, like Pete Alonso did. Juan Soto had a couple of hits today. I'm not going to tell you things are turning and things are different. But what I need simply right now is the wins. I need the wins. Get me into October, and we could go from there. That's the mentality that they need to have, and that's the mentality I'm trying to have, even though it's not easy because I'm still frustrated that we're in this spot to begin with. It is hard to accept that a team that went to the NLCS last year and added Juan Soto is in a fight to get to the playoffs. It's very frustrating, but circumstances are what they are. And unfortunately, we have to sit here and adjust expectations on the fly, even though it's not easy. But before we jump into everything, I ask that you please leave a like on your way into the episode, into the post-game show here, I should say. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, especially if you're Met fans, and turn on your notifications so you know when we upload or go live here on the channel. I do want to start, though, by talking about the injury that popped up this morning, which was Reed Garrett going down with an elbow injury. And the reason I want to talk about that, and we'll expand on it tomorrow in the podcast episode, I got to be honest with you, I saw it coming because of what happened yesterday, which I'll talk about in a minute. But Reed Garrett gets injured. Now you got Wander Suaro up. Sean Manaea is on the paternity list, which means Brazaban's back. You have Davinsky back. Dom Hamill's been DFA'd. So a lot of roster moves in a short amount of time. But I got to sit here and say I am very worried about Reed Garrett after yesterday. And I want to explain why. So I don't know how many people saw, I don't know how many people that are watching were in the ballpark, but when he was warming up, because where Matt and I were sitting at yesterday's game, we had a clear sight of the bullpen. And as I'm watching him warm up, because I'm like, okay, I really wonder when they're going to put him in the game, just seeing, maybe when he's ready, if he's going to stand around when he's ready. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I look and he's in the corner looking like he is writhing in pain on the verge of puking in the corner of the bullpen. And you see a bunch of the coaches just surrounding him. And I'm like, did Reed Garrett just get hurt warming up? Because that's what I thought immediately. I'm like, he either has to take a shit, to put it bluntly, or he got hurt. Then he walks into the clubhouse from the bullpen there. And I'm thinking, okay, something's odd about that because he wouldn't just stop warming up when Gregory Soto's having a meltdown. But then Reed Garrett, you don't see him come back out of the clubhouse because I kept looking just to see if he was going to come back out. He did in the ninth inning, but now he gets revealed. Now it's revealed that he had an elbow injury. He might have just blew his arm out warming up yesterday. And, it sucks the way that Reed Garrett has pitched as of lately for this team, but it's also adding up that all of a sudden he started to be a little bit inefficient as of lately. It looks like he might need Tommy John. We'll talk more about that tomorrow, but I just wanted to bring that up because it was like I had a feeling something was coming based on that reaction from the bullpen yesterday, but just absolutely bizarre stuff. Let's talk about the game that happened today, though, and I do apologize for the fact that, it's 6 minutes in. I haven't really touched on the game. Let's talk about Jonah Tong's great start today. And I got to sit here and say, I love what Carlos Mendoza did today with the way he handled Jonah Tong. And I got to give credit when credit's due in that regard, because if I'm going to sit here and critique Mendoza for a lot of things he does, I have to sit here and give him credit when he does something I like. And that's the fact that he pulled Jonah Tong at the right time. Leave him off at the 5 innings. I know you could have maybe pushed a batter or two in that 6th inning, but my thought process was this. I don't want to do that because of the fact that, number one, I want to leave Jonah Tong, or I want to take Jonah Tong out of this game on a high note. And number two, the most important thing out of all of this as well, Tyler Rogers was the guy slated to come in the game next. I don't want Tyler Rogers coming into the game if Jonah Tong puts a man on base. Because if there's something I've talked about ad nauseum, it's that you can't put Tyler Rogers in those situations. So I am very happy to see Carlos Mendoza do something that normally he does not do. And that was that. So I'm very, very pleased to see that. And then Jonah Tong, really good start from him today. Don't get me wrong, it's a little bizarre that he didn't really use a lot of the arsenal there. He really threw a lot of fastballs. But that curveball, the way that he was locating today, just between all of his pitches in general, just beautiful. Just beautiful. And that's what you want to see from Jonah Tong. The location was just so much better from him throughout this outing. There were a couple of times I didn't love where he left his curveball. I don't remember who it was, but there was one out that he generated on the curveball that I didn't love the location of it, but it ended up working out. It was the Jackson Merrill at bat, funny enough, in that 1st inning, just looking at it. Or no, sorry, it wasn't that one. It was a different at bat. It might have been a ground out. Yeah, it was the ground out to Cronenworth. I knew it was a lefty up there. The ground out to Cronenworth. I didn't love where he left that curveball, and there were a couple of times he did that. But as the outing went along, I thought he did a better job at locating his pitches throughout the outing. And that's what I wanted to see. And you get 8 strikeouts from him. You get 5 innings from him as well. And allows the 1 run, but it wasn't even an earned run on that one as well. Just because of the fact that you had a wild pitch from him, but then you had the throwing error on the pick-off attempt, which probably should mean he should be charged with the run, considering both of those things were on him, but I also get why. But either way, I mean, he was very solid. Out of the jump, I didn't love what I was seeing. I thought that it was going to be another rough outing. I mean, he allows a single to Arias, then he allows that single to Machado, but they end up gunning him out, thankfully, which definitely, I think, helped out, because all of a sudden you go from runners in scoring position with 1 out to 2 outs with a runner on third. That changed things drastically, because it might have got to Tong mentally if he had those 2 guys in scoring position. But then Merrill ends up striking out. So he gets a strikeout there. That was the curveball that I like there, though. Pete Alonso gives a home run in the bottom of the 1st. That is 4 straight games with a home run for Pete Alonso. Really good series from him in general. He needs to start to, get into a rhythm. He has started to get into a rhythm, and that's got to carry into the playoffs, because assuming they get there, that's got to carry down the stretch here is what I mean, to make sure they could get in, and then it's got to carry into the playoffs. But I'm very happy to see Pete Alonso starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm. Could he get to 40 before the end of the season? I'm intrigued about that. Very intrigued. But in that third inning, like I said, a little chaotic with the throwing error and the wild pitch, things getting hectic there. Then we go to the bottom of the third, though, and the Met offense responding, which was nice to see. In the bottom of the third, they get back-to-back singles from Mullins and Lindor. Soto grounds out, a very productive out, brings in a run, moves Lindor over the third. Alonso walks, and then Brandon Nimmo getting a big hit when they need him to most. And the Padres already went to the bullpen there. They went to Wandy Peralta, and all of a sudden, it's a 5-1 game. And this is where I do have my gripe with this game a little bit. It's the fact that they didn't really do much offensively after that inning. I mean, they had some traffic in the fifth inning. They had two guys on because Soto had a leadoff double. Nimmo had that walk. But there wasn't really a lot outside that until Alonso got that sac fly in the seventh. So still a lot of tendencies of the bipolar offense, which you don't like to see, especially considering they knocked they knocked Vasquez out of the game early, which you should be doing against that kind of pitcher. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from them throughout the game, really, go full throttle on that. And I get that might be unfair to an extent, but ship a few runs here and there. But the thing I do gotta say, credit to the Met bullpen today. Major credit to the Met bullpen. I didn't love Gregory Soto coming in because he's been working, I feel like, a little too much. I guess who else do you go to in that eighth inning? And that's kind of the thought process there, which is fair to say. But even him, I mean, working back-to-back days, he still gets into a bit of trouble, which some of it was a little weird because you had the ball that went off of, it went off of Gregory Soto twice, the two singles. But the bullpen was just nails pretty much the entire game. And the bullpen, while it's been inconsistent, I feel like there has been a bit lately more times where they are a little bit better than not to an extent. But I need to see it build a little bit more. Like I'd say the past week more than anything in that regard, it's been that way. But I need to see Gregory Soto give more of what we saw in this series going forward, because then you could actually trust him a little bit, and having that fourth arm in the circle of trust would be pretty nice right now. But major credit to the Mets pitching staff. Diaz not nailing things down. I'm glad Mendoza used him instead of waiting for the perfect situation for a save where you don't know when you're going to get that. And I don't want to see him go like a week or so without pitching. That never does him any good. So I'm very happy to see that from Carlos Mendoza as well. Very well managed game from Mendoza, if I do say so myself. And that's something I'm happy to see, because it's not often I get to. It's not often we get to say that and see that. But like I said, the mentality now for me and in that clubhouse needs to be move on to that National Series and go get a sweep. I'm not settling for 2 out of 3. You got to sweep the Nationals. To me, it's that simple. Well, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat right now. Huge win and a huge series win. Got to carry this momentum and take care of business against the Nationals. Absolutely have to, because you can't do this 1 step forward, 2 steps back thing anymore. And that's what it would be if you lose to the Nationals after beating the Padres. Tong deserves a lot of credit coming off a brutal start. He just threw it away and mentally reset. Was giving contact early, but settled down and got his swing and miss stuff going. 100%, yeah. And the 8 Ks was nice to see. The fastball and curveball look sharp from him. Yes, and I think also less time between starts helped Jonah Tong. I think he's one of those guys that needs to go out there to wash his performances very quickly and needs to be in a rhythm. And I could be very wrong. It's still early to tell if that's the case. But I mean, based on the difference in this start versus any other where there was, a really long break between starts, this has been his best one. So to me, that's not a coincidence, in my opinion. Very nice rebound, though. A very good rebound from Jonah Tong. And they're going to need this from him going forward. Garrett is 100% getting Tommy John, explains the drop off. Yeah, it's unfortunate. We all thought it was Phantom IL, the initial elbow injury. Now I don't think it is. If anyone else was warming up and you had a deeper pen, I would have let Tong start the sixth, but because the top of the order was up and Rogers was warming up, Mendy made the right move to pull Tong. Even then, I still would have pulled Tong when they did because, I mean, if you have a deeper pen, it makes sense in general to use it. But number two, it's because of the fact that I want to leave Tong on a positive note there. And I don't want things to spiral out of control. So to me, that was the perfect spot. It's kind of similar to when Noah McLean made his first start, where you maybe could have pushed him another batter or two to try to let him get through that sixth inning, but they didn't do it. To me, I view it in the same light. My fellow Canadian Tong looked good today. I was so relieved for him. I think he just needs to work on his first innings and, of course, adding to his pitch types. Yeah, and you really commanding his pitches more, which again he did a lot better in this outing, but he still needs to work a little bit on the command in general because even when he was getting some swing and misses or getting some light contact, I didn't love where he left some of the pitches because that Cronenworth curveball to a better hitter. Who knows where that goes? But you could also say he's not a good hitter, and that's why he threw that there. So it could go both ways, but yeah, he's going to have to deepen the arsenal. He's only 22, and if he's giving you this at 22 years old, when he could deepen the arsenal and the location's going to get improved as time goes on, I mean, we're in for something special here with Jonah Tong. That's what's exciting about it. The Mets after this series have no excuse to miss the playoffs. You have the Nationals, who you have to beat, a Cubs team that might have their position wrapped up in the Marlins, who you should beat. And most importantly, the Diamondbacks are 2 games behind you. So there is no reason to not be able to make the playoffs. Simple as that. You have to. And that's why, if they don't, a lot of conversations are going to be had here. And I thought last week they weren't, but there are 9 games left. You're 2 games up, even though you don't have the tiebreaker. You play 2 teams that you really should beat, and even the Cubs you probably should beat, considering you beat them earlier in the year. And I know that doesn't mean much, but like Matt said, they're going to have their position probably locked up. So they might not be going full throttle in that series. So if I like, in my opinion, and I know I said they have to sweep the Nationals, if they go 2 out of 3 in each series, I'm just trying to quickly think where that would put them win total wise. Did they update the standings? Because they're at 79 wins, I believe, after today, right? Yeah. So that's 79. So that would put them at 85 wins. I mean, 85, while the Diamondbacks are at 77, I feel like 85 should get you in. No, like you win each series, that gets you in. Because then the Diamondbacks would have to nearly play perfect baseball at that point. That's why this win was so important because it changes things so much. It changes everything. Because you don't win this game, and the Diamondbacks are 1.5 back going into tonight's game or tomorrow's game. They play tomorrow instead. Going into their final 9 games, 1.5 back. that's a different conversation. I mean, being up that extra bit's just it's huge for you. Pause. That pep talk that Shaman and I gave Tong looked like it proved useful. Great to see a bounce back from Tong in that game, especially, and pretty much a must win is right. Combining the last starts of Sproat, McClain, Tong, 17 innings pitched, 0 earned runs per Will Salmon. And that's why there's a conversation. Do those guys get the reins come the playoffs? I mean, to me, Peterson's not starting a playoff game anymore. Absolutely not. And I don't know if I'm giving Tong a start, but based on the small amount I've seen from, I mean, McClain's definitely getting a playoff start. Sproat, that's where I do. Yeah, that's the interesting one. And we'll see tomorrow how he fares. But if he gives another good start, I mean, how do you not, right? But that, of course, we'll talk about. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But this is what they wanted from their young starters, and it's a lot of pressure, but they're getting it done. Either way, guys, I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. Turn on your notifications so you know when we upload or go live on the channel next. And I'll see you guys in the next one.